Sup, Shredders? My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Midnight Sky, titled Every Now and Then. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen on Spotify. This is off of the Last Hope for the Modern World album. There's been a fair few players on these tracks, which is really good. We're good to check it out. We're going to listen through the song from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Every now and then, let's go. Oh, nice push with it.
Every now and then, something happens that you can't explain. Now and again, a winter storm morphs into a summer rain. You took my hand,
Very cool response.
you took my heart. You took my breath away, right from the start. You know that all I really wanna do is spend 1,000 lifetimes loving you. Even though I might sound strange, I don't feel the winds of change when I'm standing close to you. You know that all I really have to say is live 100 years in just one day. Dreaming dreams and holding hands, leaving footprints in the sand, stealing kisses on the way. Every now and then,
No let up.
someone special comes along to change the game. Now and again, know that you will never ever feel the same. I'm here for you, you're here for me. The sky is blue as far as we can see. You know that all I really wanna do is spend 1,000 lifetimes loving you. Even though it might sound strange, I don't feel the winds of change when I'm standing close to you. You know that all I really have to say is live 100 years in just one day. Dreaming dreams and holding hands, leaving footprints in the sand, stealing kisses on the way. You know that all I really wanna do is spend 1,000 lifetimes loving you. Even though it might sound strange, I don't feel the winds of change when I'm standing close to you. You know that all I really have to say is live 100 years in just one day. Dreaming dreams and holding hands, leaving footprints in the sand, stealing kisses on the way. Stealing kisses on the way.
Phenomenal vibrato at the end there. Well done for that belt. Really interesting track. Very happy with it. We're going to talk about it more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Midnight Sky, titled Every Now and Then, off of the Last Hope for the Modern World album, released in 2023, so not that long ago. In this section, I'm going to talk about a few things I liked about the track, as well as any applicable constructive critique, and also my general thoughts from it is just from like a listening perspective. But well, first of all, what do we think this track is about? I think this track is talking about how someone comes along every now and then, and they are just that special kind of awesome person that you have in your life, and you want to do a whole lot of things, not just steal kisses from them, but also, like walk on the beach, have fun with them, spend their life 1,000 lifetimes with them. It's a beautiful sentiment. I feel like there is going to be an audience for this. There are people that will be able to relate to that feeling of loving someone like that. I think it's accessible enough from that perspective alone. But I think that what helps to carry that are some of the more sort of like performance-oriented, composition-oriented parts of the track as well. So things are well connected. I think the first thing I'll discuss are the vocals. Now, they're the focal point of this track, but it's not to say it's lacking in instrumental kind of curiosity, but the singer is just so charismatic and effervescent, and they just seem so very happy and so very keen to be there. It's not just the main vocals in the center that you have, but you have the side vocals as well, the backing, and they come together or they correspond with each other. There's a phenomenal chemistry between those elements, but it's also that we're incredibly comfortable in our head and chest voice. We've got great technique where we're really sort of like adept with the legatos. We change our towels occasionally when we need to. We're comfortable with the fact fact that the track's structure with some of the riffs and lengths of them, we kind of cut 2 beats off times to shorten the bars to sort of exclusively make it sort of more oriented around the length of the lines being the thing that kind of takes us around, and some sort of like surprise chords that kind of add a bit of tension before the repeat. We're able to navigate that just whilst having a great sort of overall sort of energy within the expression of it. We sound like we're talking to someone and trying to sort of tell them how much we love them and how much they mean to us. But there's also a sense of authenticity and body to it, which kind of, I think a lot of people resonate with just from the general human experience. Like, we're not trying to overplay or over dramatize our feelings. It's earnest whilst being believable. And I think it encapsulates or mirrors the kind of sort of country aesthetic that it's going for style-wise here, the country rock aesthetic. It's got a lot of push behind it, whilst also having a lot of kind of like really pretty harmonies there that circulate around the, relevant scales. And I appreciate the major talent lead overall and how the vocalists sort of like worked with, how the vocalist, should I say, worked around that. So the singing was fantastic, and we sold the story really neatly. It's also just the attention to detail with all the various guitar, bass, drum, and organ elements. There is just so much going on. From the quarter note push on the kit there. I mean, the drums are relatively reliable throughout. We have a quarter note push, we have occasional eighth note accents, but a lot of it's relatively subtle. I mean, it's quite a tight mix, to be fair, which we'll go into at the end. I like the kind of fervor behind that. We have some snare fills to kind of ramp things up a little bit. We allow space for other instruments to breathe as well. We know not having drums all the time can be helpful as well, just for a bit of space for things to float. And actually, the more I think about it, with occasion, I think there's tambourines and other sort of like old percussions in it as well. It's more a piece where the drums are trying to sort of keep an essence of the groove to allow there to be complexity to the other harmonic and melodic elements within the mix. For example, the mixture of different kind of like rhythm and sort of lead guitar parts with slides and bends and like little groovy lead licks on the sides revolving around the majors and pentatonics. And like, it's just so colorful. It's so well textured within the mid-range. We never end up overcomplicating the actual experience within the piece. I know how to stack chords and notes to create wider harmonies across the frequency spectrum, but it never becomes overwhelming. And I think as well, it's actually the brass. So it's so bright and cheerful and optimistic, I think, because of the brass and how they accent things in certain parts there. It's just the kind of the build they have with the slow attack. It kind of rises up and it makes you feel triumphant. Like you're really celebrating that person walking in every now and then. Or like that the person has it all, you know. And there's like staccatos as well, some shorter notes that add variety with the intensity of it and the flavor. The bass underneath typically revolving around the root notes and supporting the core harmonies really neatly. And like we have these kind of these brass motifs and melodies which like coexist in a way that's kind of almost in unison with some of the guitar ideas as well, to kind of create these really fantastic stops to verses or builds before the final chorus is there. It's a really satisfying loop. And we have more and more of these kind of leads with different ideas as we go through. We never take the listener's attention for granted, which I think is something that kind of summarizes a lot of how I feel about the instrumental components within this. It's a piece where we never take the listener's attention for granted. We've got so much really interesting stuff happening with those different guitar takes, with the bass lines, with the brass and the drums, and the organs on the sides. Again, doing more to sort of support the core harmonies or the percussions, but in a way where it's split on the sides of the stereo field to kind of widen the track a little bit without being too sort of obvious. And it's got this kind of honky-tonkish kind of approach there, which is just really kind of bouncy and makes you want to dance along to it as well, as you can feel the joy of that. And part of that's due to the dynamics and control of the performance and the tightness of the sort of like the recording in general. But I think the final note for me will be the studio production. I appreciate the tightness of the mix. I think that if you want it to be kind of like upbeat and kind of like get people on the dance floor, you need the track to kind of pulse and kind of offer more than definitely not a somber experience by any means. The combined energy of the guitar takes, the various sort of like leads and rhythm parts, as well as the brass, as well as the vocals and the bass and the drums on the opposite spectrum, they're kind of pushing and propelling things forward. It's just ravishing, and there is dynamic range, but it's also kind of like glued in a way where it's constant, and it doesn't really allow you too much room to ever really have a pause for breath. It's a very intense experience from like an actual how it sounds as opposed to how it's composed, but in the way that it encourages, again, that is not overdone. There's been a really fine equilibrium put forward here. no weird resonances in the frequency spectrum. You know, nice wide stereo feel with different takes. The backing vocals going here, the mains here, the guitar takes on sides, bass, center, drums, etc. And then the organs again on the side. Things are well fleshed out in the headphones. And it's nice and loud with a bit of pumping, but not too much. So the bus compression and limiting is handled. Ultimately, just a really phenomenal first impression in Midnight Sky and what they do. Really happy with it from a general listening perspective, because I've got no constructive critique about this. I just think it's just across the board a really tight track. I think it'd be more about what you heard across an entire album, but I'm very, very happy with what I've heard here from this first track. From a general listening perspective, I listen to this and I go, okay, how does this make me feel as someone who isn't as familiar with the country honky tonk genre? And I liked it. I did. I don't go to my way to listen to this kind of music, but I feel like if I heard this in a bar or if I heard this in a club or something like that, I'd happily kind of get down to it. Genuinely. And that is perhaps the biggest compliment as someone who isn't used to a type of music or isn't as familiar, wanted to know more about it. So thank you for watching my review of this track from an act named Midnight Sky, titled Every Now and Then, off of the Last Hope for the Modern World album, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias and their Spotify page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as you need the help more than with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SB Reacts. Spider Hands out.